I was on the verge of death. The alien vampire woman offered me her blood, but it had a cost. Jake Miller did not expect to die on a forgotten moon. The plan was simple. Land the salvage ship, scan the old ruins, collect anything valuable, and leave before nightfall. Jake had done this kind of job many times before. He was not a soldier or a hero. He was just a human trying to earn credits in a wide and uncaring galaxy. But plans broke easily in space. The moon had no official name, only a code and old maps. Its surface was gray and cracked, covered with stone towers that leaned like broken teeth. Long ago, an alien city had stood here. Now it was silent. No lights, no signals, only ruins and dust. Jake's ship never saw the hidden energy spike. The moment he crossed the inner orbit, something old and buried woke up. A defense system, still alive after centuries. The warning alarm screamed too late. Blue light flashed across the sky, and the ship shook hard. Metal tore. Fire burst through the engine room. Jake barely had time to aim for the surface. The ship crashed into the ruins, sliding across stone and debris before hitting a fallen wall. The impact threw Jake forward. His head struck the control panel. Pain exploded behind his eyes, then everything went dark. When Jake woke up, the ship was quiet. Too quiet. Smoke filled the cabin. The smell of burnt wires and hot metal hung in the air. Red emergency lights blinked weakly. Every breath hurt his chest. He tried to move his left arm and failed. Pain ran through his body like fire. He looked down and saw blood. His suit was torn open near his side. Dark red blood soaked the fabric and dripped slowly onto the floor. His vision blurred at the edges. Jake knew the signs. He had trained for emergencies. He was losing too much blood. The ship's systems were dead. No signal. No rescue. He forced himself up step by painful step. He had to get outside. Maybe the cold would slow the bleeding. Maybe he could find shelter or something useful in the ruins. Or maybe he was just refusing to lie down and die outside. The moon was silent. The sky was dark purple, filled with distant stars. The ruins rose around him like shadows, broken towers, cracked walkways. Alien symbols carved into stone, worn smooth by time. Jake stumbled forward, leaving drops of blood behind him. Each step was harder than the last. His breathing grew shallow. His heart beat too fast. He reached a wide stone hall, half buried under rubble. Inside, the air was colder. His legs gave out and he fell to his knees. This was it, he thought. He leaned against a broken pillar and laughed weakly. It came out as a cough. So this is how it ends. Not in a battle, not in space, just bleeding out on some dead moon no one cared about. His vision dimmed. Sounds faded. The stars outside seemed very far away. Then he heard footsteps. They were light, slow, and calm. Jake forced his eyes open. At first he thought he was imagining it. A figure stood at the far end of the hall, tall and slender, moving without sound. As she stepped closer, the light revealed her face. She looked human. She had pale skin, long dark hair, and eyes that shone faintly red in the low light. She wore dark clothing that seemed almost part of the shadows. Her expression was calm, almost gentle. Jake tried to speak. Only a whisper came out. "Help!" The woman stopped a few steps away. She looked at the blood on the floor, then at his wound. Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in fear, but in thought. "You are dying," she said softly. Her voice was smooth, clear, and carried a strange weight. It did not sound like panic or surprise. It sounded like a simple fact. Jake swallowed. "Yeah, I noticed." The woman tilted her head. "Your humor is wasted at this moment." He tried to smile but failed. "Story of my life." She crouched in front of him, close enough that he could feel the cold air around her. There was no helmet, no breathing mask, yet she stood comfortably on the moon's surface. That should have scared him. But Jake was too tired to be afraid. "Are you human?" he asked. "No," she replied. That answer should have frightened him more than anything else. But death was already sitting on his chest. Fear had little room left. Figure, Jake muttered. Guess I'm not lucky today. The woman studied him carefully, like a doctor examining a patient or a hunter watching prey. Finally, she spoke again. My name is Lyra. Jake, he said. Nice to meet you. Bad timing. Lyra's lips curved slightly. Not quite a smile. Yes. Very bad timing. She reached out and gently touched his wrist. Her fingers were cold, colder than the air. Jake felt a strange sensation, like a faint shock running through his body. His heart reacted, beating faster. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, then pulled her hand back. You have minutes left, she said. Perhaps less. Jake exhaled slowly. Straight to the point. I respect that. There is a way you can live, Lyra continued. His eyes widened a little. Hope flickered weakly in his chest. You have medical tech? No, she said. Not in the way you understand. Hope faded just as quickly. Then what? Lyra looked into his eyes. Her red gaze seemed deeper now, older. I can give you my blood. Jake stared at her. The words took a moment to sink in. Your blood. Yes. He let out a weak laugh. That turned into another cough. Pain shot through his side. Right, he said. And let me guess. Magic healing powers. Not magic, Lyra replied calmly. Biology. He looked at her pale skin, the red eyes, the way she did not breathe hard or show any sign of strain. The pieces began to connect. You're one of them, he whispered. Them, she asked. Vampires, Jake said, or whatever the alien version is. I heard stories.
Lyra did not deny it.
Your word is crude, but close enough. He closed his eyes for a second. Of course. Of all the things he could meet before dying, it had to be this. So, he said, opening his eyes again, you drink blood, and now you're offering me yours. Why? Because, Lyra said, I do not wish to watch another human die slowly. That surprised him. You care? Care is not the correct word, she replied. Interest, perhaps. Curiosity. Jake nodded weakly. Sounds about right. She leaned closer. My blood would heal your wounds. It would repair your body far beyond normal human limits. And the catch? He asked. Her gaze hardened slightly. There is always a cost. He waited. She did not speak right away. My blood binds, Lyra said finally. Once taken, it cannot be removed. Your life would be tied to mine. Jake frowned. Tied how? If I die, she said, you will die. If I suffer, you will feel it, and the bond will not allow you to act against me. That last part hit him harder than the pain, so I'd be your slave, Jake said quietly. Not a slave, Lyra replied. A bound one. Great choice of words, he muttered. Silence filled the hall again. Dust drifted slowly in the air. Jake's vision blurred once more. The edges darkened. Time was running out. Lyra watched him closely. You do not have long to decide, he laughed softly. You say that like I actually have options. She said nothing. Jake looked down at his blood-soaked suit. He could feel the cold creeping deeper into his body. His fingers trembled. He thought of Earth, of blue skies and rain, of bad food and noisy cities, of all the things he had never finished. Dying here meant none of it mattered. He looked back at Lyra. If I say no, he asked, will you just leave?
Yes, she answered.
I do not force the dying. Well, Jake said slowly. Points for honesty. Another wave of pain hit him. He gasped, clutching his side. Warm blood spilled through his fingers. His body was already choosing for him. Jake met her eyes again. If I take your blood, will I still be me? Lyra hesitated. Just for a moment. You will be human, she said, but you will also be more. He smiled weakly. Story of humanity. He took a shaky breath. Do it. Lyra searched his face, as if looking for doubt. She found none strong enough to stop him. Understand this, she said softly. Once done, there is no turning back. Pretty sure there's no turning back either way, Jake replied. For the first time, Lyra truly smiled. It was small and a little sad. Very well, she said. She moved closer, supporting his weak body. She lifted his head gently, careful not to worsen his injuries. Jake felt her presence around him. Cold, calm, powerful. He felt a sharp pain in his neck. Then, warmth. Something flowed into him, thick and burning. It felt like fire spreading through his veins. His heart slammed hard against his chest. His vision filled with red light. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. His wounds burned. His bones ached. Every nerve in his body lit up at once. Then darkness swallowed him whole. And far above the dead moon, the stars watched in silence as a human life crossed a line it could never uncross. Jake opened his eyes slowly at first. He thought he was dreaming. His vision cleared in strange, bright ways. The pain that had burned through his body was gone. Every cut and bruise had vanished. His broken ribs, torn muscles, even the swelling on his forehead. Everything was gone. He moved his fingers and toes. They felt strong. Alive. More alive than ever. He tried to speak, but his throat felt tight. Then he realized he could hear something strange. The faint heartbeat of something far away. It was subtle at first, like a whisper, but it was there. He blinked, confused. Lyra watched him quietly. Her red eyes gleamed softly in the moonlight. "Your wounds are gone," she said. "You are healed." "Healed?" Jake whispered, still staring at his hands. He flexed them, testing the strength he did not have before. Every movement was precise, controlled, powerful. I feel different." "More than different," Lyra said. "You are changed. The blood I gave you is ancient. It bonds life to life. It will repair you faster than human limits allow. It will strengthen your body in ways humans rarely achieve." Jake's mind tried to process the words. "So, I'm not just alive. I'm stronger?" Lyra nodded. "Stronger, faster, more aware. But there is a cost, Jake. The bond is not free." He frowned. "Cost?"
"Yes," she said, her voice calm, almost cold.
"Once my blood enters your system, your life is tied to mine. If I die, you die. If you act against me, the bond will punish you with pain you cannot endure." Jake's stomach twisted. He looked at her carefully. She did not seem threatening, but the words cut like a blade. "So I'm your prisoner?" "Not a prisoner," she corrected. "A bound one. The blood links us. It will protect you as long as you respect it, and it will hurt you if you do not." Jake looked at his hands again. He flexed and released. He felt the power surging inside. The warmth of life, new energy flowing like fire through his veins. He was alive in ways he had never imagined. Yet the thought of being tied to this alien, this vampire, filled him with unease. "Why me?" he asked finally. "Why help me at all?" Lyra studied him for a long moment. "Because," she said, "humans are fascinating. You resist the instinct to obey the bond immediately. Most species cannot. You will test it. You will challenge it. And it is rare to see a life so close to death and yet so stubborn." Jake laughed softly. It hurt his chest slightly, but it felt good. "Stubborn? Yeah, that's me. Never been very good at listening." "You will learn," Lyra said, "or you will suffer," he sighed. "Sounds fair." For a moment, silence fell between them. The ruins around the moon were quiet, empty except for the cold wind brushing across broken stone. Jake could feel the bond stirring inside him. It was not like anything he had experienced. A pulsing connection, almost like a second heartbeat, linked him to Lyra. He could sense her emotions faintly, like distant waves brushing his mind. Fear, curiosity, caution, even amusement. "What is happening to me?" he asked. I can feel you. Like, inside me. That is the bond, Lyra explained. It connects life force. It will grow stronger over time. The more we interact, the more attuned you become. But remember, it is not one way. Your emotions, your thoughts, your choices, they will affect me too.
Jake blinked.
So I'm not just a patient. I am like a partner in this nightmare. Lyra tilted her head, her expression unreadable.
If you wish.
But do not forget, this is survival. Humans do not survive here alone. Not many species could have lived past the injuries you had. Jake swallowed. The truth hit him. He had been moments from death. He had been ready to give up. And now he was alive, thanks to her. But with a gift came a chain. He stood up slowly, testing his strength. Each movement was effortless. His legs held him firmly. His arms moved with precision. He could feel power in his muscles, in every joint, in every nerve. I feel unstoppable, he said quietly, almost in awe. Yet you are bound, Lyra reminded him. And that is your reminder that power without responsibility can destroy you. Jake nodded. Responsibility, yeah. Got it. Not going to die. Not going to hurt anyone. Mostly. Maybe. He smirked, but the thought of being tied to her kept the smile from reaching his eyes. They moved through the ruins together. Lyra guided him past dangerous debris, past collapsed walls and sharp metal. Her movements were smooth and precise, like she had walked these halls 1,000 times. Jake followed, amazed at his own recovery. He felt strong enough to lift fallen stones and push aside rubble without even straining. "Why are you showing me this place?" he asked. "Why not just leave me to recover alone?" "Because you would not survive long alone," she said. "There are creatures here, ancient guardians, and others who hunt my kind. You would be easy prey." He shivered at her words. Others? Hunters? Yes. There are those who believe my species is dangerous. They seek to eliminate us, and now you are bound to me. They may come for you too. Jake cursed softly. Great, from dying alone to being hunted. Galactic upgrade. Try to appreciate the gift, Lyra said lightly, though her tone carried a warning. He laughed, a short raw sound. Gift. Right. I call it a curse with style. As they walked, Jake began to notice other changes. He could see in near darkness as if the ruins were lit. The faint outlines of structures and hidden corridors became clear. He could hear distant movements, the shifting of small creatures, the faint heartbeat of Lyra herself. It was unnerving and amazing at the same time. You're letting me hear your heartbeat?" he asked.
Not letting, she said. It is part of the bond.
You will sense life. The closer the connection, the stronger the perception. It is a skill many of my kind learn over centuries. You have learned it in minutes. Great, Jake muttered. Instant supernatural. What a gift. Do not underestimate it, she warned. It can be dangerous. Sensing life is not always comforting. You will hear pain, fear, anger, even lies. Your mind must adapt. Jake swallowed. I think I can manage. I hope. They reached a small clearing among the ruins. Jagged stone pillars rose like broken teeth. Faint moonlight illuminated dust drifting through the air. Jake stopped, breathing deeply. For the first time since he woke, he felt calm. So, what happens now? He asked. I'm alive, bonded to you and apparently superhuman. Do I just follow you? For now, Lyra said. We must move carefully. The hunters will find us soon. The bond will protect you to an extent, but it will not save you from armies. You must use your human instincts, your creativity, your courage. Jake frowned. My instincts and courage. Great combo with ancient vampire blood. Probably won't get me killed. He laughed softly. Lyra allowed herself a small smile. You amuse me, human, he shrugged. Someone has to. Might as well be me. Then they heard a low hum, a vibration through the stone under their feet. Jake's enhanced hearing picked it up first. A patrol of alien hunters was approaching. Their footsteps echoed, metallic and precise. The air around the ruins seemed to tense. You hear that? Jake whispered. I do, Lyra said. You are faster, stronger, more aware. You must choose, fight or hide. Jake looked around the clearing. Rubble, pillars, and broken walls offered cover. But he realized that hiding was not his style. Not anymore. Not with the bond urging strength, and not with the fire of life pumping through his veins. Fight! He said simply. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. You would face them? Alone? Not alone, he said, touching the bond in his chest. We're together now. I've got you, you've got me. Let's see what this human stubbornness can do. Lyra nodded. Very well. Remember, the bond will punish if you act recklessly. Trust it, and it will guide you. Abuse it, and you will learn pain quickly. Jake grinned. Pain has been my companion lately. I can handle it. As the hunters appeared at the edge of the clearing, Jake felt power surging through his body. He could see their armor, their movements, and even anticipate their strikes before they happened. His mind was clear, focused, alive. He had survived death. Now he would survive them. And for the first time in his life, he realized that being human, stubborn, clever, reckless, was his greatest weapon. The battle was about to begin. Jake took a deep breath. Let's dance, he whispered. And with that, the human and the alien vampire woman moved together into the shadows of the ruins, ready to face whatever came next. The bond pulsed in his chest, alive and powerful. It was dangerous, untested, and binding. But Jake no longer feared it. He was alive. He was stronger, and he was human. This was only the beginning. Jake had survived the crash, survived the bond, and now he survived the first attack. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. The hunters would not stop. They would follow, track, and try to kill Lyra and him. The ruins were no longer quiet. Shadows moved, strange noises echoed, and every step forward was dangerous. He had learned quickly that the bond was strange, even uncomfortable. It pulsed inside him like a second heartbeat, stronger when he focused and weaker when he ignored it. It tried to influence him sometimes, telling him to obey Lyra's unspoken commands, to stay close, to avoid fighting when he wanted to listen instead of acting. But Jake was human. Humans were stubborn. He refused. You resist too much, Lyra said one night as they rested in a collapsed tower. She sat across from him, her red eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Resist? Maybe, Jake said, flexing his healed arms. Or maybe humans just don't like being told what to do. Ever. Your kind is different, she admitted. Most species obey the bond instinctively. Your resistance is unusual, dangerous, and fascinating. Jake smirked. Fascinating? You mean annoying. Lyra smiled faintly. Perhaps both. He laughed softly, feeling strength he had never felt before. Every bone in his body felt alive, every muscle ready to act. He was faster than a trained soldier, stronger than most hunters they would face. Yet his mind remained his own. He could think, plan, and act. The bond could influence, but it could not control him completely. We need to move, Lyra said suddenly. The hunters will be here soon. I can sense them. They are close. Jake stood, testing the new strength in his legs. He could jump over debris, climb walls, and move silently. It felt natural. Almost too natural. Good, he said. I like natural. They moved through the ruins, using the shadows to hide. Jake could see more than before: hidden corridors, weak floors, crumbling walls. He could hear footsteps, heartbeats, and even faint breathing behind doors. The bond had sharpened his senses beyond normal human limits. It was strange, powerful, and a little scary. "You're listening too much," Lyra said. "You will exhaust yourself." "I like it," he replied. "I hear everything. It's useful." They reached a wide-open plaza where alien statues once stood. Broken faces, missing limbs, and cracked stone told stories of an ancient empire. It was eerily quiet. Jake felt the bond twitch, warning him. Danger was near. Suddenly, movement. Armored hunters emerged from the shadows, their weapons glowing with strange energy. They moved in formation, precise and deadly. "Get ready," Lyra whispered. "We must fight." Jake nodded. His instincts took over. He moved fast, faster than humanly possible. He dodged the first energy blast, feeling it pass inches from his face. He grabbed a piece of fallen stone and threw it, hitting one of the hunters in the chest. It staggered him. "Impressive," Lyra murmured. She moved beside him, her movements fluid and silent. Together, they struck, a human and a vampire, bond and skill combined. Jake discovered that his human creativity, combined with the alien blood, was deadly. He could anticipate movements, set traps, and improvise weapons from rubble. The hunters were strong, trained, but they did not expect a human to fight with such unorthodox style. One hunter aimed a heavy rifle at him. Jake dove to the side, grabbing a sharp metal shard and flipping it like a dagger. The hunter screamed as the shard struck armor, sending sparks into the air. "You learn fast," Lyra said. "Faster than I imagined." "Humans adapt," he replied, eyes focused. "It's kind of our thing." The fight continued for minutes that felt like hours. Jake felt the bond trying to guide him, pushing him to obey, to hold back, but he ignored it. Humans did not submit easily. He felt pain once or twice, a sharp reminder from the bond when he hesitated or tried to ignore Lyra's warning. He gritted his teeth and pushed through it. Every strike, every movement was stronger, faster, better. Finally, the last hunter fell. Jake stood over him, chest heaving, blood and dust covering his clothes. He looked at Lyra, who was calm and silent, but her eyes held a hint of awe. "You could have killed them all without me," she said. "But you chose to fight beside me?" "Beside you?" Jake laughed softly. "I was just having fun." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. "Fun is not always safe. Yet,
I see your point. Humans do not obey instinct alone.
they fight even when logic says otherwise. It is unusual." Jake shrugged. "I don't like rules that don't make sense." "I like my own rules." Day moved quickly deeper into the ruins. The fight had drawn attention, and more hunters would come. Jake noticed it immediately. The bond pulsed, warning him of danger he could not yet see. "We must be careful," Lyra said. "They will return, and they will bring more." "Good," Jake said with a grin. "More practice." As they ran, he began to notice other changes. He could hear the faintest whispers in the wind, sense hidden traps in the ruins, even feel faint emotions from creatures nearby. The bond had given him more than strength. It had sharpened every sense, every instinct. He was alive, yes, but it was also something more. "This bond," Jake said quietly. "It's strange. It's like I'm connected to you, but not controlled. I can still think." "Yes," Lyra said.
It is unusual. Most species obey completely.
"Your mind resists."
It is,
Impressive. Dangerous. Fascinating. Jake smiled faintly. Impressive. Dangerous. Fascinating.
Sounds like a good description of me. Lyra tilted her head, almost amused.
Perhaps. But remember, human, you are bonded. Your power comes from me, and the bond demands respect. Disobedience brings pain. Arrogance brings death.
I like to test limits, Jake said.
Always have. They came to a narrow corridor that led to a higher part of the ruins. Jake climbed easily, enhanced strength making the task simple. He reached the top and looked over the ruins. The moon was silent again, but the feeling of eyes watching them was strong.
They will come, he said, and we will be ready.
Lyra nodded. You understand better than I expected. Humans do not submit easily. Your stubbornness is a weapon. Jake smiled faintly. Humans fight, even when the odds are against us, even when we are weak, even when we are about to die. It's kind of what we do. Lyra watched him carefully. The bond pulsed, stronger now, as if acknowledging his words. She had saved him, given him strength, and yet he had not surrendered. He had taken the gift and made it his own. You are more than I thought, she said. This bond, it will teach you, but you have already learned something important. Humans are dangerous in ways my people rarely understand. Jake looked out over the ruins, feeling the wind against his face. He was alive. He was strong. He was bonded to a vampire woman, facing hunters who had no mercy. And yet, he felt something he had never felt before. Confidence. We're just getting started, he said softly. And if anyone thinks humans will bow down, they are wrong. Lyra allowed a small smile. Faint, but real. We will see, Jake. The galaxy will see. Together, human and vampire bonded and unbroken, they moved through the ruins. Every step was a test, every shadow a challenge. But Jake was ready. The bond tried to guide him, to control him, to influence him, but he resisted, because humans did not submit. And Jake was human. The ruins echoed with their footsteps, alive with danger, and filled with the promise of more battles to come. But for the first time, Jake felt certain of one thing. He would survive, and he would not bow. The bond pulsed in his chest, alive and dangerous. He felt it, understood it, and yet he was free in a way the alien world had never expected. He was human. And humans do not submit. The moon was quiet for the first time in days. Jake and Lyra had survived attacks, ambushes, and the endless dangers of the ruins, but the calm was temporary. Jake could feel it in his chest, in the pulsing of the bond, and in the faint vibrations through the stone under his feet. Danger was coming, stronger than before. They had been traveling together, avoiding patrols, moving carefully through ancient corridors, and exploring old alien towers. Jake had grown stronger, faster, sharper, and more aware. He had learned to use his new senses, hear distant footsteps, sense hidden traps, and anticipate attacks. Yet the bond still reminded him that he was tied to Lyra's life. He could not act recklessly. I can feel them, Lyra said suddenly, stopping in a narrow hallway. Her red eyes glowed faintly in the dim light.
The hunters.
A large group. They will strike soon. Jake nodded. His human instincts told him the same. His enhanced hearing and sight picked up the movement of their armor, faint energy signals, and the rhythm of their steps. He had grown used to the bond pulsing, warning him, guiding him, but now he realized it also demanded he act. We can fight them, Jake said, flexing his arms. We've done it before. Lyra shook her head. They have more soldiers this time. Traps. Reinforcements. Fighting them directly would be foolish. Jake frowned. Then we hide? No, Lyra replied, her voice firm. We do not hide. We prepare. We choose when and how we fight. Survival is not about running. It is about choice. Jake looked at her, understanding, dawning. He had always fought instinctively, but now he realized the stakes were higher. If she was captured or killed, the bond would punish him. He could not ignore that. Yet, he also could not leave her to die. The thought alone made his chest tighten. Then we make them pay, he said quietly.
But smart, we use brains, not just strength.
Lyra's eyes softened slightly.
I hoped you would say that. Humans are stubborn, yes, but also clever.
That is why I saved you. They moved to a large open area, part of the old city. Broken towers surrounded them and rubble provided cover. Jake examined the layout quickly. His human creativity, combined with the bond's heightened awareness, gave him a clear picture of their options. He could set traps, manipulate the terrain, and use the hunter's own confidence against them. "We need bait," Jake said. "Something to draw them in." Lyra nodded. "You are learning." "Yes. A controlled confrontation is better than blind defense, but remember, your life is tied to mine. Every move matters." Jake smiled faintly. "I like living dangerously. Makes the bond more interesting." Together, they prepared. Jake lifted rubble to create barriers and pathways. He set up traps that would trip, slow, or injure their enemies. Lyra moved silently, her vampire senses adding precision to every adjustment. It was a dangerous game, but one they played well together. Hours passed. Jake studied every possible approach, every angle. The bond pulsed steadily, reminding him that her life and his were linked. He could feel the pressure, the responsibility, and the weight of the choice he had made when he drank her blood. Finally, the hunters arrived. A large group, armored, disciplined, moving with deadly precision. They expected an easy victory, but Jake and Lyra were ready. The traps slowed them. The narrow corridors forced them into choke points. Energy blasts were deflected or dodged with human creativity and enhanced reflexes. Jake moved through the battlefield like a storm. His speed, strength, and awareness made him nearly untouchable. He dodged strikes, redirected attacks, and used the hunter's own formations against them. Yet he never forgot the bond. Each movement, each choice, was calculated. He could not act recklessly, because if Lyra suffered, he would feel it. One hunter tried to flank them, approaching from a broken tower. Jake anticipated the movement. He leapt, grabbing a fallen metal beam, swinging it with precision, and knocked the soldier to the ground. The bond pulsed sharply, reminding him that every life was linked. He felt a faint ache, a warning, but he ignored it. "You are reckless," Lyra said calmly, her eyes on another threat. "But it works." "Humans are reckless by nature," Jake said, ducking a blast. "It keeps life interesting." The battle continued for what felt like hours. Jake used his human instincts, creativity, and newfound powers to survive. Lyra supported him, her own abilities lethal and precise. Together they were a force the hunters had not expected. Then it happened. The hunters captured Lyra. In an instant she was surrounded, bound by energy restraints that pulsed with deadly force. Jake froze. The bond reacted violently. He felt pain, fear, and rage all at once. If she died, he would die. If he acted recklessly, the bond would punish him. Yet he could not let her stay captured. He looked around. The hunters were confident. They believed the human was weak, alone, and afraid. They did not know him. They did not know what humans were capable of when survival demanded it. Jake made his choice. He would not run. He would not hide. He would face them all. He leapt forward, moving faster than the eye could follow. Enhanced strength allowed him to crush weapons, throw enemies aside, and break energy restraints. The bond pulsed with pain, warning him of the danger, but he ignored it. He was human. He chose courage over caution. The hunters were shocked. One by one, he dismantled their formations, turning their confidence into chaos. The bond guided him subtly, giving warnings, amplifying his awareness, but never controlling him. Every strike, every move, was his choice. Finally, he reached Lyra. Her eyes met his, filled with a mixture of fear and awe. Jake crushed the final restraints, freeing her. She touched his arm, and he felt a sharp pulse of connection through the bond. Relief, gratitude, and a warning all at once. "You could have saved yourself," she said softly, "but you chose to risk everything for me."
Humans do that, Jake replied, breathing heavily.
"We make choices, even when the cost is high." She studied him, her red eyes glowing faintly. "The cost, it could have killed you." "Yeah," he said, "but so could dying without trying. Humans, we prefer risk over regret." They moved quickly, escaping the ruined plaza before more hunters arrived. Jake's body ached, but the bond steadied him. He felt it now as a shared strength. a rhythm that connected him to Lyra without controlling him completely. They were a team, bonded in survival and choice.
I could end the bond, Lyra said quietly, and you would survive.
Jake looked at her. End it? No. We're stronger together. I'd rather face the universe with you than survive alone. She nodded slowly. The bond pulsed gently, no longer a chain of control but a shared power. Jake felt it as strength, awareness, and connection. He had risked everything, but in doing so he had learned the true value of choice. They continued through the ruins, moving toward safer ground. Jake realized that the cost of the blood had turned into something else entirely. Not control, not obedience, but a choice. A choice to fight, to survive, to protect, and to be human in the face of impossible odds. We make a good team, Jake said finally, allowing a small smile. Dangerous, stubborn humans and ancient alien vampires. Lyra allowed a faint smile. Yes, dangerous indeed. They walked together into the shadows, stronger than before, ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. Jake understood now. The bond was not a curse. It was not a chain. It was a test, and humans chose to rise above the cost, and he had risen. The hunters would return. The galaxy was full of danger. But Jake and Lyra were ready together, bonded by choice and strength. They were unstoppable. And for the first time, Jake realized that sometimes the greatest victories came not from power alone, but from the courage to make the hardest choices. This was the human way. And humans did not surrender. The ruins were silent again. Jake and Lyra had survived. The hunters were gone, at least for now, scattered or destroyed by Jake's human stubbornness and creativity. The bond between them pulsed gently, steady and strong, no longer a threat, but a shared rhythm of life. Jake had learned to trust it, and Lyra had learned to respect him. They moved carefully through the ruins, now more familiar. Jake noticed the subtle shifts in the environment, weakened floors, hidden passages, faint echoes of the ancient city's history. The bond heightened his senses, allowing him to see, hear, and feel things that were impossible for normal humans. Yet he remained himself, creative, stubborn, unpredictable. Lyra had warned him that the bond could control, punish, or guide. But he had learned the human way, to resist, to choose, and to adapt.
We should leave soon, Lyra said.
This moon is dangerous. More hunters will come.
Jake nodded. Yeah, but before we leave, I want to understand something.
Your people, the blood, the bond. It's all incredible. But why me? Why let a human survive and gain this strength? Humans are different. We expected obedience, compliance. We expected fear. But you resisted. You adapted. You survived in ways we did not anticipate. Your species has qualities my kind has forgotten. Jake shrugged. We're stubborn. We fight. We don't give up. That's what humans do. Stubbornness, courage, unpredictability, Lyra repeated. These qualities make you dangerous. To me, yes. But also to the galaxy. You show what humanity can do. He smiled faintly. Good.
I like dangerous. As they prepared to leave, Jake felt the bond pulse with new intensity.
It was no longer just about survival. It had become a shared strength. He could sense Lyra's thoughts, her emotions, her plans. He could anticipate danger and act quickly. The bond had evolved. It was no longer a chain, but a partnership. Their journey off the moon was tense. They avoided patrols and traps, moving silently through the ruins and back to the wrecked ship. Jake had learned to combine his human instincts with the alien abilities granted by Lyra's blood. He could climb, leap, and fight like no ordinary human. He could sense danger, read the battlefield, and anticipate enemy movements. Finally, they reached the ship. It was badly damaged, but repairable. Jake assessed the systems quickly, using his enhanced understanding of mechanics. The bond heightened his focus and precision. Lyra watched him, impressed. You are extraordinary, she said softly. Humans rarely achieve this. I survive, Jake said simply. That's my skill. They repaired the ship as quickly as possible. Jake's enhanced strength allowed him to lift heavy machinery and manipulate damaged components that would normally require multiple people. Lyra assisted, her knowledge of technology and alien energy systems invaluable. Together, they worked in silence, the bond pulsing between them, connecting their thoughts and movements. Once the ship was ready, they prepared to leave. Jake looked out at the desolate moon one last time. He had arrived as a dying human and was leaving as something more. Alive, stronger, bonded, and aware of powers he had never imagined. Yet he remained human. That was what mattered. He had not lost himself. He had gained strength without surrendering his identity. "Where to now?" Jake asked. "To safety," Lyra said. "And then, to change the galaxy." He raised an eyebrow. "Change the galaxy? Isn't that a bit ambitious?" "Perhaps," she said. "But humans have already proven they can survive impossible odds. Now it is time they show what they can do for more than survival." Jake nodded. He understood. The galaxy was full of danger, cruelty, and fear. Lyra's species had been hunted, feared, and nearly destroyed. Humans, despite being weaker in numbers, had qualities that could challenge entire civilizations: courage, creativity, stubbornness, and the refusal to submit. He had seen it in himself, amplified by the bond. He had felt it in every strike, every decision, every choice he had made to save Lyra. They lifted off from the moon. The ship shuddered, engines straining, but Jake piloted with precision. The bond enhanced his coordination, awareness, and reaction time. They escaped without incident, leaving the ruins behind. Once in orbit, Lyra spoke again. "The galaxy does not know yet what humans can do. Your kind is underestimated. They rely on numbers, power, rules. But humans have choice, instinct, and courage. You can inspire change." Jake leaned back in his seat. "Inspire. Sounds like a big word for a human like me." "Perhaps," Lyra said softly. "But you survived what no other human could. You faced death, fought armies, resisted control, and still chose to protect me. That is extraordinary. That is humanity at its finest." He smiled faintly. "I guess humans do surprise themselves sometimes." "And the galaxy?" Lyra added. As they traveled, Jake began to notice other effects of the bond. He could sense approaching ships, detect faint signals across space, and even feel the intentions of beings nearby. The bond had become a shared gift, not a punishment. It amplified their strengths while respecting their individuality. Jake realized that the cost of her blood had turned into empowerment. Choice had replaced control. Survival had become evolution. "We can't stop," Jake said quietly. "We've seen too much. We've survived too much. We have to keep moving, keep fighting, keep changing things." Lyra nodded. "The galaxy is dangerous, but you are ready. Together, we can survive anything, and more importantly, we can show others what humans are capable of." Jake smiled, feeling a deep warmth in his chest. The bond pulsed softly, a rhythm of life and connection, not control or threat. He had been on the verge of death, and now he was alive, strong, and unbroken. He had learned that humans, when faced with impossible odds, do not bow. They do not surrender. They adapt, resist, and rise. "What now?" he asked. "Now," Lyra said, "we change the galaxy. We show them the cost of underestimating humanity." Jake looked at her, seeing not just an alien vampire, but a partner, a guide, and a friend. The bond had connected them in ways deeper than blood alone. It was a shared strength, a trust, and a recognition of what it meant to survive, to choose, and to fight. "Sounds good to me," Jake said. "Let's start with a bang." Lyra allowed herself a faint smile. A human always has flair for the dramatic. As the ship moved through the stars, Jake felt a new certainty. The galaxy was dangerous, full of threats and challenges. But he was no longer a dying human. He was bonded, strong, aware, and unstoppable. The bond had given him power, but his humanity had guided it. Courage, stubbornness, and choice had carried him through. They traveled together, moving from system to system, exposing truths about Lyra's people, revealing hidden dangers, and showing the galaxy that humans could survive, resist, and change the balance of power. Jake became a symbol, not just of strength, but of human will. The galaxy watched, slowly realizing that humans were not weak, that humans could resist, adapt, and even challenge ancient powers. Jake and Lyra became a legend, stories of a human who survived death, bonded with an alien vampire, and faced impossible odds spread quietly at first, then loudly.
I never thought humans could do this, Lyra admitted one night, watching distant stars.
You are remarkable, Jake. You have changed the galaxy. He smiled faintly. Humans do that. Sometimes we surprise even ourselves. The bond pulsed between them, steady and strong. It was no longer a cost, but a shared power, a connection that symbolized survival, courage, and choice. Together, human and vampire, they had turned death into life, weakness into strength, and fear into respect. The galaxy would never be the same again. Jake looked out at the stars, feeling alive in every sense. The bond Lyra and his human instincts had carried him through death and war. He had survived when almost no one would have. And now, the universe would see the true power of humanity. Courage, stubbornness, and the refusal to submit.
Let's keep moving, he said quietly.
Yes, Lyra replied. The galaxy awaits. And together, human and vampire, bonded and unbroken, they soared through the stars, ready to face whatever the universe would throw at them next. The bond pulsed gently, life flowing in rhythm, a reminder that humans could rise from death, resist control, and change the galaxy forever. Jake knew one truth clearly. Humans did not surrender. They never had, and they never would. And now, the galaxy would learn that lesson.